And under the Trump administration, our country will not be turned into a dumping ground. We're not going to do it. We're going to have a great country again. It's going to happen soon, a lot sooner than you think, and we're going to have so much money coming in from tariffs. Oh, you're going to say, your senators and your congressmen are going to say, please, sir, please, you're making us look so bad. We have so much money coming in. I didn't know this was going to happen. Please don't do this to us. We look very bad. But they're great. They're doing well. I tell you, the Republican senators they're sticking together. The Republican congressmen and women are sticking together. Every once in a while, you have one that wants a little action or something. I don't know what it is. It's so sad to see. I just hate to see it. I hate to see it. But they're sticking together. One thing about the Democrats, they have rotten, horrible policy, the worst policy in history. But they stick together. We have great policy, but sometimes they don't stick, but they've been sticking for us. They've been sticking. And I think the Speaker and the leader have done a fantastic job. That's Thune and Johnson, and I think they've done, two guys really working hard and they're really doing a great job. But we have a lot to stick with. We have a lot to stick together for, because what we've done has never been done before. Nobody's ever seen anything like this, and nobody's ever seen 4 weeks like we've had, especially the 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks. You know, that's like if you golf, when you sink that first 4-footer in the first hole, it gives you confidence. On the next hole, you sink another one. Now you go into that third hole and you can't, and by the time you get to the fifth hole, you feel you can't miss, right? Like a baseball player, he gets up and he hits our first one, and then the second at bat, he hits that one. And, you know, and we have great confidence. And they've lost their confidence, as I said. They really lost their confidence. I watched them. They're really screwed up. I watched this MSNBC, which is a threat to democracy, actually. They're stone cold mean, but they're stuttering. They're all screwed up. They're all mentally screwed up. They don't know what. Their ratings have gone down the tubes. I don't even talk about CNN. CNN's sort of like, I don't know, they're pathetic, actually. But MSNBC was mean. Their ratings are absolutely down. This Rachel Maddow, what does she have? She's got nothing. Nothing. She took a sabbatical where she worked 1 day a week. They paid her a lot of money. She gets no ratings. I should go against her in the ratings, because I'll tell you, she gets no ratings. All she does is to talk about Trump, 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 Trump. All different subjects, Trump this, Trump that. But these people are really, I mean, they lie. They shouldn't be allowed to lie every night. They are really a vehicle of the Democrat Party. They should be paying. Is that Gordon? Yes, is that Gordon? The great Gordon Chang? Is that Gordon? Stand up, Gordon. Wow. We have everybody here today. Thank you very much. How am I doing on China? Am I doing good? Am I doing good on China? Tell you one thing, nobody's ever done like I've done on China. Nobody ever let people know what was happening with respect to China. And I happen to like President Xi, and I have tremendous respect for the people of China, love the people of China. But we've been treated very unfairly by China and many other countries. And we're not being unfairly treated anymore. We had that down to a science in the first term, and then they lost it. You know, we lost over $1 trillion to China this last year under Biden, Crooked Joe Biden. What do we like better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? Ready? Ready? Crooked Joe or Sleepy? Ready? Crooked Joe. Sleepy Joe. Got to stay with Crooked. He had one ability that I didn't have. He could do something that I couldn't do. I don't say that because he was a horrible golfer. Remember, he challenged me during the debate to a golf match? He said, I'm a 6 handicap. I said, you're not a 36 handicap. He said, he's a 6. And then he said, well, I'm 8. Remember? I said, that was quick. Picked up 2 strokes. He said, no, I'm an 8. But he's not a 36 handicap. But he had one ability that was amazing. He could go with cameras on him, television, fake news on him, probably because he knows they wouldn't cover it badly. You know, they covered him as well as you can cover him. How the hell can you cover the guy well? But he had this incredible ability. He could barely walk in the sand. Somebody thought he looked great in a bathing suit. And he'd walk in the sand pulling a thing that weighed about 6 ounces. You know those aluminum? See, aluminum's very good. It's meant for children and very old people to lift, right? So he would put it down, and he'd put it down, and he'd fall into it, and he'd immediately fall asleep in front of the media. I could never do that. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. I could never do it. No, he was Sleepy Joe, but he was crooked as hell. You know, there's no question. He was a sleepy, crooked guy. Terrible, terrible president. He was the worst president in the history of our country. I don't care. I'll say it. Jimmy Carter passed away recently, and he passed away a happy man. He was a happy man when he passed away because he said that it's not even close. Joe was the worst, and believe me, I have to clean up the mess. I'm cleaning up the mess, and it is a mess on the border with inflation. To go over every single thing he touched turned to shit, okay? Everything. It's true. It's true. That's true. Now Franklin Graham's angry at me. You know that. Franklin wrote me a letter. He said, I love your speeches. I love them so much. But they'd be better if you would never use foul language. And I told him, I said, Franklin, you know, Franklin Graham's a great guy, by the way, does a great job. The son of the great Billy Graham, right? But I said to Franklin, you know, sometimes you need it for emphasis. And he said, no, they'd be even better if you wouldn't use any bad language. That's not really a terrible word, you know. But that's a much more appropriate word, a better. What word would I use to describe? What word could I use? It's and we have to be truthful too. So you know, all countries are now taking their illegal aliens back, even those that stated strongly, "We will never take them back. Don't ever send them to us." But they said that during the Biden administration. They never said it during my administration. Venezuela's taking them back. Colombia's taking them back. Remember, Colombia said, we will not take them back, he said. And within about 13 minutes, I think, we would love to take them back. In fact, we will send our planes to pick them up. Remember? And they said, what happened? What happened? And you see these Venezuelan planes loaded up with some real nice people. You wouldn't have wanted to be the pilot on any of those flights. But they know we're not playing games, and just this week I officially designated bloodthirsty cartels and murderous gangs as foreign terrorist organizations, something which Biden didn't want to do and nobody wanted to do. It's true. The full might and power of the federal government will now be dedicated to eradicating MS-13, Tren de Aragua. That's the Venezuelan prison gangs. These are very nice fellows. The only thing good about them is they make our criminals look like nice people. It's true. Remember when they used to say, people that come in from foreign countries are nice people. These are wonderful people. These are good people. They're not murderers. They're not terrible. These people make us look like babies, okay? You know the Hells Angels? They're among the nicest people on earth when you compare them to these thugs. And the Hells Angels actually love our country, if you can believe that. They actually do. But their members and their leaders in the United States will be hunted down. I'm talking about MS-13. They're hunting them down. We removed tens of thousands, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, rooted out, arrested, and expelled from our soil like the savage monsters that they are. We don't have anybody coming up from Argentina. Nobody's coming up from Argentina to facilitate the mass removal of criminal aliens. I also issued an executive order to make available the full capacity and detention We're going to use Guantanamo Bay. We have a detention facility that's actually massive. Nobody even knew it existed. Holds thousands of prisoners. We never used it. For 4 long years, you had a president who put illegal aliens up in penthouse suites in beautiful hotels on Park Avenue, on Madison Avenue, or on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Now you have a president who is stamping their ticket to Gitmo on a one-way trip back to the places from which they came. Wonderful places. Big difference. My administration is also moving swiftly to save the U.S. economy from the train wreck of inflation and worse that Joe Biden created. I withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord. It was a disaster. That was a disaster. I terminated the Green New Scam. One of the greatest hoaxes ever played on this country is the Green New Scam. We spent trillions of dollars on this nonsense, and just a total hoax. It really set back our country, I want to tell you, monetarily and every other way. And I canceled Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate where everybody has to have an electric car. And if you want an electric car, get an electric car. If you want a gasoline-powered car, if you want to have a hybrid, you get it. The only thing you can't do is a hydrogen-powered car. You know why? They said it really works great, but when it doesn't work, you never find the body. That's a bad sign. You know, when it doesn't work, they found the body on a tree about 250 yards up the road. It's seriously bad. So we'll leave hydrogen out of it for a little while, I think, or maybe permanently. I'd say permanently. To crush inflation by slashing spending, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze. We're given to countries that hate us. We're giving billions and billions of dollars to countries that hate us. And I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency. You probably haven't heard of it, which is now waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. And Elon is doing a great job. He's doing a great job. We love Elon, don't we? Is that guy? He's a character. With his son X. We love X. He's the only one can get away. His son's really named X. He's the only one can get away with naming his son X. If we ever did it, they'd say, you're crazy. But he's great. He's doing a great job, and he doesn't need this either. He doesn't need it, but he wants to see, he's a patriot. People said, well, what official position does he have? I said, patriot. Oh, they didn't know. They said, that was good. He's a patriot. Here are some of the flagrant scams that, as an example, they've spent money on and we've been able to recapture for a large dose of it at least. $520 million for a consultant to, think of it, $520 million. $520 million. When I hire consultants and they just take advantage of me, it's a horrible thing to watch. And I give them $25,000. I feel I'm overpaid. These guys got $520 million. Environmental, social, governance, and investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and socially responsible behavior in Colombia. This is Colombia, South America, not Columbia University. Of course, that might be worse, actually, based on their actions. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows where. Who are they? Where do they come from? Just sedentary migrants. Nobody even knows what a sedentary migrant is. If they were sedentary, they wouldn't be a migrant, right? They wouldn't move. No, they wouldn't move. They'd stay in the same place. Right, Doug? $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $10 million for Mozambique medical male circumcisions. Why are we going to Mozambique to do circumcisions? It's a lot of money. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. Here's a beauty. $486 million to to a consortium of elections and political process strengthening ideas, of which $22 million goes to inclusive and participatory political process in Moldova. $29 million goes to strengthen the political landscape and help them out so that they can vote for a radical left communist in Bangladesh. You had to see who they supported. You wouldn't believe, yeah, you would believe it. Nobody in this room would be in that group. $20 million for fiscal federalism and $19 million for biodiversity in Nepal. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. $18 million for helping India with its elections. Why the hell? Why don't we just go to all paper ballots? Let them help us with their elections, right? Voter ID. Wouldn't that be nice? We're giving money to India for elections. They don't need money. They take advantage of us pretty good. One of the highest tariff nations in the world. We try and sell something, they have a 200% tariff, and then we're giving them a lot of money to help them with their election. $32 million for the Prague Civil Society Center. $14 million for social cohesion in Liberia. $9.7 million to develop a cohort Cambodian youth with enterprise-driven skills. Think of that. Millions of dollars for sex change operations in Guatemala. $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. They put on a little play on the street. $20 million! You could do it on Broadway and have $19 million left over. No, it's a scam. They get kickbacks and all sorts of things. It's a scam. Who ever heard of it? Think of it, $20 million Sesame Street, a play. We're also uncovering outrageous incompetence and fraud in the Social Security. We have, look, let's assume that people, generally speaking, in our case, and everybody in this room, we're going to all live way over 100, but this is a little ridiculous because not too many people are going over 100. Everybody, hopefully, in this room will. But there are in the Social Security ranks and files. And what we're doing now is finding out, do they get paid? Do they get paid? In other words, is somebody taking all of this money? So they have over 100 to 109, 4.7 million Social Security numbers. Think of that, from people whose age is over 100. 3.6 million people whose age is over 110 years. 3.47 million people who are over 120 years of age. 3.9 million people whose age goes from 130 to 139 years of age. 3.5 million whose age goes from 140 to 149 years old. 1.3, see, it's coming down now slowly. No, it's all a scam. The whole thing is a scam. 1.3 million people, 1.3 who are over 150 years of age. And over 130,000 people are listed on our Social Security rolls as over 160 years of age. Now the final is at 1,039, so now we're down into reasonable numbers. 1,039 people are listed between the ages of 220 years old to 229. And we have one person who's listed at 241 years of age. And we have one person listed at 360 years of age, an all-time record, and our country's 250 years old. So that person's substantially older than our country. Under our administration, there will be no tolerance for Social Security fraud. We will not allow anyone to cheat our seniors, and those who will do that will be prosecuted by Pam Bondi and others. We are also going to Fort Knox. I'm going to go with Elon. And would anybody like to join us? Because we want to see if the gold is still there. We want to see. Wouldn't that be terrible? We open up this Fort Knox. It's just solid granite that's 5 feet thick. The front door, you need 6 musclemen to open it up. I don't even think they have windows. Wouldn't that be terrible if we opened it up and there was no gold there? So we're going to open those doors. We're going to take a look. And if there's 27 tons of gold, we'll be very happy. I don't know how the hell we're going to measure it, but that's okay. We want to see lots of nice, beautiful, shiny gold in Fort Knox. Don't be totally surprised. We open the door. We'll say, there's nothing here. They stole this too. Now, we have a very corrupt group of people in this country, and we're finding them out. We're removing all of the unnecessary, incompetent, and corrupt bureaucrats from the federal workforce. That's what we're doing. And under the buyouts, we offered federal employees more than 75,000 federal bureaucrats. Think of that. Have voluntarily agreed to surrender their taxpayer-funded jobs. We want to make government smaller, more efficient. We want to keep the best people, and we're not going to keep the worst people. And, you know, we're doing another thing. If they don't report for work, we're firing them. In other words, you have to go to office. Right? Right? Look at her. If you don't report to work, you know, that's another scam. You know, who the hell, if I'm staying home, I'm going to, let's see, my golf handicap would get down to very low number. You'd be shocked if I told you the real number. But I would be so good, I'd try and get on tour. I would be so good. I'd call up, I'd say, listen, I'm really working here. Where are my clubs? Where are my clubs? Either that or, in many cases, they have second jobs while they're getting paid by us. So one of the reasons they're leaving is because they don't want to have to show that. And we're demanding to see that information. How many jobs have you had? Who paid you while you were working for the government? And we are demanding that people, if they work for the government, they have to show up and sit in an office and do their job, right? And we've also effectively ended the left-wing scam known as USAID, the agency's name. Has been removed from its former building, and that space will now house agents from Customs and Border Patrol. Beautiful. And at the ultra-left CFPB, which was terrible. So many people have been hurt by that. I used to get calls from lending officers, from owners of small banks, and they were almost crying. What they did to those people, they destroyed them, put them out of business. It was established by Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. Does anyone know? Remember the Pocahontas scam? I'm an Indian, therefore I'm entitled to be a senator. I'm an Indian. She said, could we see proof of that, please? She said, well, the only proof I have is my mother said I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's no good, right? Remember she went out? I really spooked her, I tell you. Remember she went out, she couldn't take it anymore. I was calling her Pocahontas, Pocahontas. Everyone knew she was not an Indian. I had more Indian blood than her, and I have no Indian blood. I'd be honored to, but I don't have any, but I had more than her. You remember she went out and she had a blood test. And it came back and she was so happy because it said 1,024th. That means everybody in this room had more than her. But because there was even a scant, in other words, 1 million years ago, something could have happened. And she was so happy that she released it and she got killed. That was the end of her presidential career. She does not like me very much. But she's a very angry person. Do you notice the way she is? She's always screaming, and she's crazy. These people are crazy. The radical left is meaner. Yes. I don't know what it is, Doug. They're meaner than us, aren't they? We're like normal people. We're smart. We get our word, but we don't go crazy. Of course, they'll take my little rant from 15 minutes ago, the fake news. He lost control on the stage. He lost control. And they'll have me screaming, having to do with Franklin, poor Franklin. He lost control of the stage. Oh, these people are bad. They are really sick, too. I don't get it. You know, you think they'd want to love our country. They have no ratings anymore. Nobody listens to them. Nobody believes the fake New York Times. Washington Post is doing no business. They're losing all their business. Nobody believes them. But we've escorted the radical left bureaucrats out of the building and locked the doors behind them. We've gotten rid of thousands. I withdrew the United States from the corrupt World Health Organization. I withdrew from the anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council. The council is horrible, and I withdrew from the terror-supporting UN Relief and Works Agency. The UN has such great potential, but not the way it's run now. It's terrible the way it's run now. We stopped all taxpayer money to these corrupt institutions. And by the way, just so, because who the hell knows, we got to talk about something very important. The war between Russia and Ukraine. People are being killed, mostly young men, mostly Russian and Ukrainian men, at levels you've never seen before, thousands of people a week. And I've spoken to President Putin, and I think that thing is going to end, but it's got to end. It's a horrible, horrible thing to watch. I'm dealing with President Zelensky. I'm dealing with President Putin. I'm trying to get the money back that, or secured, because, you know, Europe has given $100 billion. The United States has given $350 billion because we had a stupid, incompetent president and administration. 350. But here's worse. Europe gave it in the form of a loan. They get their money back. We gave it in the form of nothing. So I want them to give us something for all of the money that we put up. And I'm going to try and get the war settled, and I'm going to try and get all that death ended. So we're asking for rare earth and oil, anything we can get. But we feel so stupid. Here's Europe. And, you know, it affects Europe. It doesn't really get us into this thing in the first place. Terrible. But why is it that he didn't ask for equalization? Europe should put up more money than us. But even if you said the same thing, how come we went so far out front? And he didn't know that Europe gets his money back. They did it in the form of a loan. We don't get our money back. We get nothing. So we're getting our money back. We're going to get our money back because it's not fair. It's just not fair. And we will see. But I think we're pretty close to a deal, and we better be close to a deal. Because that has been a horrible situation. It would have never happened if I were president. And by the way, October 7th, Israel would have never happened if I was president, too. It would have never happened. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money to give. Everybody knows that. Jewish people in the audience know that. Iran was broke. They were not giving money around. And when I got out, they took all the sanctions off Biden. And Iran became rich very quickly. With oil, you can become rich very, very quickly. And the rest is history. What a horrible thing. Even though the hostages are coming back, I saw it this morning where we got 6 more back. Biden got none back, by the way, just so you understand. None. 0. He would have never gotten any of them back. But they're coming back in pretty bad shape. It's a horrible thing, and many are dead. Many are dead. So we'll see how that all ends up, but it's a horrible thing. But I just want you to know we're working on that. That's a very big part of it. And I don't like talking about it because we're in the middle of negotiations, but it's a very, very sad, would have never happened. There was no way. Russia was never going to go in, and they went in because of a lot of reasons, and so many people are dead. Far more people are dead than you're reading about. You know, when they blow up all these cities, all those cities they look like demolition sites. Every single building is down. All of those beautiful golden towers that are 1,000 years old, they're lying on the ground in smithereens, blown to smithereens. There's nothing left of them. They're just lying on the ground, never to be rebuilt again, not possible to rebuild them again. And all of that heritage is gone. People have done a really horrible job. That would have never, if I were president, 0 chance that a shot would even have been fired. Wouldn't have happened. So sad. To further turbocharge our economy, we've launched the most aggressive deregulation program in any nation's history. And we're also going to be seeking the largest tax cuts in American history. Again, we brought them down, as you know, from close to 40% down to 21%. Now we're bringing them down to 15% if you make your product in the United States of America. We're defending the American worker like never before, and that's why the auto workers and the union workers and the Teamsters and so many others, they supported us, the firemen, the policemen, so many others, whether they were union or non-union, they all supported us. They supported, it's called workers, and they supported us at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Weeks ago, I imposed a 10% tariff on all goods coming from China because of the fact that they're sending fentanyl into our country, through Mexico, by the way. I'm not happy with Mexico, or I'm not happy with Canada either. I imposed 25% tariffs on all foreign steel and aluminum, and I will soon impose reciprocal tariffs on any country that charges us. And by the way, the reciprocal means they charge us, we charge them, same thing. So nobody can be upset, right? But we have countries charging us 200%, and we charge them nothing. They charge us, we charge them. Our country's going to become rich again, very rich. I always say it's my favorite word in the dictionary. The word tariff is my favorite word in the dictionary. You know, we were the richest relatively from, think of this, from 1870 to 1913. That was our richest because we collected tariffs from foreign countries that came in and took our jobs and took our money, took our everything. But they charged tariffs, and we had so much money, they set up the 1887. Think of that, a long time ago. 1887 Tariff Commission. It was a commission of very important people to determine where we should spend all of the tremendous, vast wealth that we had. We had so much wealth. Wouldn't it be nice today? Of course, now we give it away to transgender this, transgender that. Everybody gets a transgender operation. It's just wonderful. No, we give it away like to crazy things. But in those days, it was different. It was a different world. It was a different country. But we were very rich because of tariffs. And I get myself in trouble because I say that tariff is my favorite word. And the fake news went crazy. What about God? What about wife and family? What about love? I said, okay, tariff is now my fourth favorite word. I got myself into a lot of trouble with that. You can't believe it. I said, tariff is my favorite word in the dictionary, and I got killed by the fake news. So I say now, it doesn't sound good. Tariff, it's my fourth favorite word. I go, tariff is my fourth favorite word. It sounds so terrible, but this way I'm free. I write free, you know. I don't get clobbered by the fake news. But tariffs are also a powerful tool of diplomacy, and all around the world are moving quickly to bring back peace through strength. We have the greatest, you know, I rebuilt our entire military in the first term. We left a lot of it, although a lot of it, but very small relatively, in Afghanistan. The Taliban has it. You know, they have their parade every year where they take our military vehicles and run them up some little street, and like it's their form of a military parade, and it makes me angry when I see that. Angry. When I see that, I get angry. You know, we give them, I don't think anyone knows this, we give Afghanistan about $2 or $2.5 billion a year. Do you know that? For aid. Aid. We need aid ourselves. And I'm going to go back, and I told them yesterday, I want to look at it, but if we're going to give them money, it's okay. But I want them to give us back our military equipment that they have. They're selling it. Doug, would you take that, please? All right? Write something up. No, I want them to give back. If we're going to give them that kind of money, let them give back the military equipment, which they have. Where they have tanks and trucks and guns and goggles. They have goggles. They have night goggles, better than we have. Brand new right out of the box. It's unbelievable. So I want to do that, and I want if we're going to pay them, I want to get that equipment back, okay? Doug can do it. He's one of the guys. He's a business guy. To him, he's sitting there saying, how the hell did this ever happen, right? Can you believe it? We give them billions of dollars, and we gave them our military equipment. Just tremendous numbers of billions of dollars worth of military, billions and billions. We have a ceasefire in Gaza, and we're joined today by several survivors of the captivity under Hamas, including Noah Argamani and Ilana Gretovsky. Wow, look at that, how beautiful. What a beautiful group of people. Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And you're sitting next to a great guy, Sebastian Gorka, who's also now in the administration. From day one, right, Sebastian? He's been a loyalist from day one. We love Sebastian. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Thank you, everybody. That's very nice. Beautiful. We're going to make it work somehow, you know. We're doing the best we can. We started. It should have never happened. That's the sad part. Would have never happened. If I were president, and I should have been, if I were president, it would have never happened. But it did so. We're doing the best we can with it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Also with us are family members of some individuals who are still hostages, and we will not rest until all of the hostages have been returned back home. Some of them are coming home in very bad condition, and some of them are coming home only as bodies. They're dead. We have a lot of them coming home now. They're dead. And these are largely young people. Young people don't die. Young people are young people. They don't die like this, but they're dead. And the parents come to me and they say, please, sir, could you get my son back? How old is he? Sir, my son is dead. It's important, just as important as if that son were alive, to get the body back. It's amazing, actually. Amazing. Just as important. Thank you. It's amazing, though, the parents. The parents are strong. I mean, look, strong. What does strong mean? Strong is their life is ruined. Really, it's ruined. I see the people, but they come up to me, and it's so important to get the body back. They know, and some are not sure. They're 80% sure he's dead or she's dead, but they have that little glimmer of hope. And I say, let them have that hope, right? Let them have that hope, but. Getting the body back is just as important as getting the son back healthy or the daughter back healthy. It's amazing to see when I see the level of intensity and love and sorrow and tragedy. As I said in my inaugural address, it's my hope that my greatest legacy will be as a peacemaker, not a conqueror. I don't want to be a conqueror. Under the Trump administration, every day brings more good news for America. I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government and the private sector, and notified every single government DEI officer that their job has been deleted. They're gone. They're fired. You're fired. Get out. You're fired. I made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. That was easy. I banned men from competing in women's sports. And I also proudly banned the use of... Yeah, thank you. We banned the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of your youth. Could you imagine making a speech like this 10 years ago? People would say, what the hell is he talking about, right? This is a sickness that came along with critical race theory and all of that other things that we had to put up with. And it's all out now, critical race theory and transgender insanity. It's all gone from our schools and from our military. And I believe it's gone, too. I think we've turned the heads of even the people that, if you can believe they're believers, I don't know if they were, but I believe that it's all gone. and I've directed the reinstatement of any service member who was expelled from the armed forces due to the COVID vaccine mandate. They will be returned to their former rank with full back pay. Full back pay. I banned government censorship from your voices and brought back free speech in America. We have free speech. We didn't have free speech. We do have it now, actually. Now, this was a very vicious regime, you know. I was put under investigation more so than the late, great Alphonse Capone, one of the great killers of the world. Trump, my father would look down my mother. How the hell did this happen to my boy? This was his... No, I was under investigation at a far greater level than Al Capone or anybody else, probably in the history of our country. These people are sick. They're sick. They're bad people. I ended Joe Biden's weaponization as soon as I got in. I said, I'm going to hit him with the same stuff. But I ended his whole weaponization of our government and removed his hand-picked radical left Marxist prosecutors from the Department of Justice. I was so happy to do that. They weaponized government. They weaponized government. I pardoned hundreds and hundreds of Biden's political prisoners, including Christians, pro-life activists, and the J6 hostages who were treated terribly for years. We even got rid of people like Pete Buttigieg, who did the worst job of anybody in the history of transportation. What a bunch of losers. I revoked the security clearances of Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, John Brennan, James Clapper, and every non-patriot who lied to cover up Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. We took away their security clearances. And they're not allowed to enter any government building either. I also revoked Joe Biden's security clearances, the Biden crime family security clearances, and they'll no longer be allowed to access state secrets while selling themselves all around the world. Oh, well. Now, these were bad people. These were bad people. And I do that because this should never be allowed to happen again. What happened to me in this administration, what happened on J6, what happened on all of the things they did that were so bad, should never, ever be allowed to happen again. And on a friendlier note, I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And we are restoring the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley in Alaska. And as you know, many years ago, Jimmy Carter gave away the Panama Canal. And Panama started the process of giving the Panama Canal, by the way, the most expensive development ever in the history of our country. Relatively, it would have been $1.5 trillion in today's dollars. 38,000 people died from our country building the Panama Canal. They died from mosquitoes and snakes. Think of it. They paid them 5 times their salary. They brought them to Panama, and they had a 25% chance of dying. They dug under nets so the mosquitoes wouldn't get them. But we lost 38,000, mostly men. Laborers, construction workers, because it was such a harsh way to live. It was very brutal. They died. 38,000. Again, it was the most expensive thing we ever built, and they gave it away for $1 to Panama. And last year it made $5 billion. Also, that's one of the most successful projects ever built in terms of money, monetarily. And it's the 8th wonder of the world. It connects 2 oceans, with one being 16 feet higher than the other. Think of it, the Pacific and the Atlantic. Think of what that is. You're going through dikes and canals. Amazing what they did. It was really a wonder of the world. We gave it away for nothing. But we didn't give it to China. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama. We're going to take back the Panama Canal. In a matter of weeks, we have restored America's pride, America's confidence, and America's spirit. According to a brand new poll from Rasmussen, the number of Americans who believe we are on the right track now exceeds the number who think we're on the wrong track. This is the first time in 23 years. That's hard to believe. And we had one poll where we're at 81% right track, wrong track. I guess it depends on who, but that one poll, because Rasmussen's been a good poll, first time in over 20 years that we've had a positive number on that. That's great. That's great. November 5th, 2024 will go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country. I'm pointing to Mike Lindell. That man suffered. That man suffered. The FBI thugs went up to him and they took away everything he had. He suffered. And Mrs. Lindell, was a great guy. They went after him. It was just terrible. This was a vicious weaponization of your government. But he's all, I'll tell you, he stood up. He's all man. He stood up strong. And nothing was going to faze him. And I want to thank you on behalf of everybody, Mike. You put up with a tremendous amount. And he never changed his mind. He said that election of 2020 was rigged. And he's more of a believer today than he was even 4 years ago. But now it's okay to say it, Mike. Now it's fine. Now, that's why, you know, when it comes to a day where you can't challenge crooked elections, we've got a real problem in this country. And as of January 20th, 2025, the dark days of high taxes, crushing regulations, rampant inflation, flagrant corruption, government weaponization, and total incompetence, those days are over. They're over. But we cannot stop now. We're going to push forward every single day. In the immortal words of that great American hero, Captain John Paul Jones, I have not yet begun to fight. And neither have you. So together for the next 4 years, we are going to stand strong. We are going to work hard. We are going to fight, 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 and win, win, win. Thank you to CPAC. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. God bless America. Thank you very much. God bless America. Thank you.